as far as I'm concerned, if all of the hostages aren't returned by Saturday at 12 o'clock, I think it's an appropriate time. I would say cancel it and all bets are off and let hell break out. And after that, I would say all hell is going to break out.
That was Trump's reaction to Hamas saying it would suspend the planned release of 3 more Israeli captives this Saturday, accusing Israel of violating the ceasefire agreement. The Israel-Hamas ceasefire talks were thrown into chaos when the US and Israel discussed forcing Palestinians out and taking over the Strip instead. It follows Netanyahu's previous statement that the ceasefire was only temporary and Israel would resume the war if needed in order to eliminate Hamas. But what has Israel actually been doing on the ground in Gaza, and has it stuck to the agreement? Problems began when Netanyahu delayed sending a negotiating team to Doha to discuss plans for stage 2 of the ceasefire while he talked to Trump in DC. Instead, a week later, he sent a low-level team without the authority to actually negotiate plans for the next phase. It contained 3 officials who haven't previously led the negotiating effort. Angered by this, Qatar told Israel that this could delay future captive swaps and that its conduct was sabotaging the deal, for which Doha, as a mediator, was also responsible. But Trump's rhetoric gave Netanyahu the confidence to flout the tight negotiation schedule and its ceasefire commitments in Gaza. Israel has killed at least 25 Palestinians since the ceasefire took effect, in both airstrikes and shootings in the Strip. It delayed displaced people's return to northern Gaza after Hamas delayed the release of Israeli captive Arbel Yehud and restricted the number of patients able to leave through Rafah to get medical treatment to just 12% of the agreed total, despite many having security clearance to travel. Israel has also not met the requirements for the delivery of aid and fuel trucks, with groups such as the UN and the Norwegian Refugee Council saying current aid is nowhere near enough. Even more scarce than food and water is shelter. The UN says Israel has failed to let in the agreed number of shelters, including caravans, temporary housing units, and tents. Hamas says it's only received 10% of required tents and no caravans. This has been particularly brutal as displaced Palestinians are battling harsh winter winds and rains in makeshift tents without homes to return to. Speaking confidentially to the New York Times, 3 Israeli officials and 2 mediators said that Hamas's claims were accurate. By threatening to suspend the next captive release, Hamas is hoping to pressure Netanyahu to negotiate seriously in Doha and meet Israel's aid requirements in the Strip. Hamas said that it made the announcement on Monday to allow enough time for ceasefire progress to get back on track before the scheduled exchange on Saturday, and that the door remains open for it to go ahead. The talks are at a crossroad, but the ball is in Netanyahu's court. If he refuses, the ceasefire could break down before it even reaches phase 2.